Welcome to another episode of On Location Prince George, brought to you with the support of Tell a Story Hive. I'm your host, Jeff Grunding, and today we have a local photographer as a guest. He brings an immense amount of knowledge and creativity to his photography, from nature to wildlife, painting with light, and painting with fire. Kris, totally excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah. When I first met you, it was to talk about the Northern Lights. And the funny thing about that was kind of like I was expected to capture a video on the Northern Lights and talk to you about it. And then I found out roundabout that I had been following you on Instagram for like the last 3 or 4 years, and I was looking at all your photos and some video clips you had of painting with light. And now you're painting with fire and stuff like that. And that was like, to me, some of the most creative photography a person can do, because not only like is it a great photo, but it takes like a crazy amount of work to get into that. So I want to cover painting with fire, painting with light, the Northern Lights, nature and wildlife, some landscape photography. So why don't we just start with kind of like what got you into this in the first place? Because I mean, you had to have picked up a camera one day, right? And then it just kind of took off from there.
Originally, it was when we started a Facebook page, Hell Yeah, Prince George, and we were trying to show the beauty of Prince George, and I just started taking pictures with my cell phone. I would go out and capture sunsets and sunrises, and I'd post them onto the page, and people were just absolutely loving them. I slowly realized that I may have an eye for photography and capturing these beautiful moments, so I ended up buying myself a camera, and I guess that just kind of started me off. So I got addicted to chasing the sunsets, and then slowly got into night photography, and then the first time I ever witnessed the Northern Lights was when I really got hooked on the whole aspect of photography.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to rewind because I didn't know that part of the story. You worked on, like, you started Hell Yeah, Prince George? You were part of the group that started
Yeah, I was
that?
one of the first admins with Scott.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you weren't a photographer before that?
No, not at all.
So you just created this group together and went out taking pictures with your phone, and that's how you became like a photographer? Like,
Yeah, I was self-taught through everything. So
wow, that's amazing.
yeah, at the time, there was other pages in Prince George kind of giving a negative feel towards the city. So when Scott created the page, he asked me to join with him, and I just really wanted to promote the beauty of it all. So I got out and went to a couple iconic spots in Prince George and started capturing the sunsets. And I guess people just kept telling me how great I was, and eventually I started to believe it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. So were you already did you already have a camera when you first saw the Northern Lights and got your first photo of that?
At that point, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
when I did.
So let's talk about that progression, going from, deciding, hey, like maybe I'll buy a camera and start actually taking like camera photos, whatever you want, become a photographer.
Yeah, so just starting out with a cell phone, I would go out and capture it, and I would do little minor edits with a phone app, and then finally purchased a camera, and then realized that to do long exposure photography, I needed a tripod. So I started getting into the gear aspect of it. So I got myself a tripod. A couple of times after sunset, I would stay later, capturing blue hour, eventually started to capture the stars. And then one night, just a random fluke, the Northern Lights came out. And I was just in awe, like, what am I looking at? So started playing with exposure lengths, learning, I guess basically just teaching myself. If I didn't know how to do it, I would find a way to learn. So looking stuff up on Google, going on YouTube, following other photographers, asking questions, and then slowly just got more and more addicted to it. Kept posting all the photos onto the Facebook page. People started, like, it just started blowing up. Thousands and thousands of likes. The Weather Network eventually shared one of my photos. That blew up, got a couple 100,000 likes. So that was super cool. It was like my first viral moment. And then really early in my career, I shared some Northern Lights photos down at Cottonwood Bridge, and they went super viral. I got like 25,000 shares on Facebook, which got hundreds of thousands of likes. So that's when I really knew, like, I was onto something. Like, I can do this.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy when you grab like an iconic picture like the train bridge and then have something like the Northern Lights happening in the background, or star trails, which I've also seen in some of your photos.
Yeah,
That-
I love those.
Yeah, that must take a lot of work because, like, I imagine you're like a 30-second exposure, something like that, right? Or longer.
No, it's like an hour or two.
An hour. Oh, okay.
So there's a few different ways to capture the star trails. There's one way that puts a lot more like work into your gear that can burn your gear out. So what I do is hundreds of 30-second exposures, and then I layer them. So you could shoot your camera for an hour for it, like strain on your sensor being open for that long, for like an hour or two. So there's multiple ways to do star trails. I like to not put the strain on my gear, so I do 30 seconds, and then it just, right when it finishes, it shoots another 30 seconds, and it just continually shoots. And then, I've done 6-hour ones. So
Really?
what I do is I have two cameras. So I have one shooting my star trail, and then I have one pointed in the opposite direction, and then I go light plane.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'm not just like sitting in a chair for 6 hours bored. I keep myself busy. I go create other ways.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing that 30 seconds, then you've got some kind of remote release or timer or something, or is it all built into the camera?
Now they're built into cameras. A long time ago they weren't. So you have an intervalometer. And then I've had where you have a trigger where you can push and you can lock it. And then in the very, very beginning of my career, I used to use duct tape to do long exposure. So I would crumple up a little ball of duct tape to press the shutter, and then I would duct tape it over, and it would hold my shutter. Because, I have light paintings that are 12, 13 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
So that was another thing in the beginning of my career, is a lot of people were using Photoshop and layers, and I became known as the guy who does everything in one shot.
Yeah.
Single exposure, everything in camera. I want it to be as real as possible, because you could do 25 different little things and then put them together for a light painting, but it's not as challenging, because if you make a mistake in one of those images, you can just redo that, whereas I have to do it all in one. So if I mess up, it's do another 12 or 15 minute painting. So
Yeah.
I always like to challenge myself, be different. So that's where I kind of went different. But the cameras nowadays, they have like time-lapse movie, and then they have that setting in there. So it'll shoot a time-lapse, which is, I guess if you were shooting like a sunset or a sunrise, you could lower your exposure into like 1/50th of a second, whereas I pushed it all the way to 30 seconds in my star trail images.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When you're shooting a sunset, is the sun in the shot too, or is it the sun's already kind of gone down behind and you're just getting the sky? And
I like to capture the whole movement of it. So if I'm doing a time lapse, I want to show the entire aspect of it. So it up in the sky, it going below the horizon and lighting the clouds, and then as it falls all the way into blue hour.
oh, wow.
So I like to capture it all. I feel like it tells the best story. It shows the most color. So that's what I've always done. I'm still wanting to learn. There's something called the Holy Grail, where you go from day to night. So you're capturing full sun to sunset to blue hour to astrophotography. And that, it takes a lot more gear and setup, because there's so much tinkering that you do with your camera, where you're changing. When you're shooting the sun full out, you could be 1/500th of a second, and then you're transferring all the way over into a 30-second image. So it's a huge drastic difference. And if you don't do it gradually enough, you can see it in, like, it doesn't look real, because what you're trying to do is basically capture what a video camera would do. But you're taking stills, which is much more challenging. So I haven't quite got there. I've played with it a little bit, but I've been so focused in my fire photography and my art that I haven't fully got into time-lapse photography. I've kind of spread myself out over so many styles of photography that it's hard to like really lock into one. Like I really love wildlife. I really love northern lights. I love capturing sunsets. I love light painting, fire painting. It's like most people just do one.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
most people just get really good at wildlife photography and that's all they do. All their gear is just for that, where I'm kind of spread out all over the place. I love doing everything.
And you're really good at doing everything.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, because I didn't even know like that you were a wildlife photographer until you sent me some of those shots of like some foxes and their eye is just sharp focus, right? And they're looking right at you. And I couldn't believe some of those shots.
Yeah, that's a big thing is I love telling a story through an animal's eyes. That's what I focus on every time.
You weren't into that when you started taking these photos from Prince George either. So this is all like this whole, like the wildlife, the landscape, the painting, like that all came after.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty amazing thinking like that had you guys not started that group, like you wouldn't be sitting here probably with me today.
I wouldn't be, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in 2016, I won a world award for my light painting.
In 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, wow.
Yeah, so it was in the beginning stages of my photography career. I was probably only maybe 2 or 3 years in, but when I started getting into light painting, I got like obsessed over it. I was going out every single night.
Yeah.
I was just addicted to it. They had a tournament, and there was 4 people nominated from Canada, 4 from the United States, 4 from Europe, and 4 from Australia. And then there was a round-robin tournament where you had to compete in a knockout tournament for quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And you had to go head-to-head against other photographers. So I was nominated number 1 in Canada, and then I passed through each round, knocking everyone out in one.
Really?
But I went crazy for it. One of my shots I did with the RCMP. So I was going light painting every night, and people were calling the cops on me because I do a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Fire painting, light painting. People don't understand what I'm doing, so they call the cops. So I had the same officer meet up with me 4 or 5 nights out of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And by the end of it, he knew me by name. He knew what I was doing. You know, hey, Kris, you're doing this. Show me what you got. So I'd show him my camera. And then on one of the last nights, he says, do you want to use the cars? And I was like, yeah. I mean, this is such an opportunity that most people can't get. So he called another squad car, and he let me position the cars how I wanted to. And then I light painted orbs and wrapped the lights all around them. And then I had them in the cars flicking their lights. And then I photoshopped them out. That was kind of the deal, that it wouldn't show their face.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the RCMP shared the photo nationally across Canada as like a partnership of look what our officers are doing and partnering with artists. So that was super cool.
Yeah.
And then that won me that round because it was so unique and so different to be able to artistically work with our first responders.
And the story around that, just amazing too.
Super
That's
cool,
awesome.
right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
at the time, they were closing the detachment down in downtown Prince George. So I reached out to City Hall, let them know that I was in this tournament for the world, and they gave me permission to go into the jail.
Oh, yeah.
So the jail was all closed down. It was under renovation. They gave me 1 hour, and I went in with big sheets of cardboard, and I boarded up all the windows to create darkness, and I light painted with my dad. It was the only person I could get to come help me.
Yeah.
So my dad helped me quite a bit in that tournament, because I'd always ask my friends, like, oh, come out at 1 in the morning and help. No, like, they're not going to come help. So
Yeah.
I forced my dad. So my dad actually posed in quite a few of my photos that actually won the tournament.
Wow.
So my winning photo, my dad is standing in it,
Oh,
which was
yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, super awesome.
Wow. Looking back 10 years, like, how does that photo compare to, like, the stuff you do now?
Obviously, if I could go back now, I could do a lot better. I know a lot more. My tools are a lot better. Like I was saying before we started, when I first started, my tool that I used to paint orbs with was a dollar store flashlight with a colored ping pong ball glued to the top.
Oh, yeah.
And then now I have professional gear sponsored by companies that make them specifically for light painting.
Oh, yeah.
So if I went back with the knowledge and the tools that I have now, I definitely could do the scene more justice. I'm probably more creative.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was enough. And because I do all my images in single exposure, it raised that difficulty level. So in my final image, I did it at the Salmon Valley Church, and I did 4 different colored orbs, and all of them had like electricity lines to like a half dome. I sent you the photo, so we'll be able to show everyone in this. But
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because even when you're talking about, oh, I've got a light orb, I can't picture what that is, and what piece of equipment you're using to make that, and what the end result is going to look like in the photo.
So I actually brought the tool here. So this is my newest tool. So as you power it on, it comes with a little remote. So I can pick the color of the orb that I want to do. So then I tie a rope to here, and then I spin the rope so it's creating a ring of light. And then I walk in a circular pattern, creating hundreds of rings, which then creates a globe of light. So it's the most difficult light painting technique, I would say, out there. You have to hold your hand at the same height. You have to be able to walk in a circular pattern without your hand coming off center. So you can't move your hand this way, you can't move your hand this way, and you have to walk 360 degrees.
At the same speed, I imagine.
At the same speed while spinning it at the same speed.
Wow. So I imagine, like, if you're walking on like a wooden floor and you stumble a little bit, it's
Yeah.
like, no, start over.
So I challenge myself and I try and light paint on things that like most people can't do.
Yeah.
Like a stump of a tree, I'll be like trying to balance, or
yeah.
uneven surfaces. I have to be able to gauge that when I walk down this slope, I need to raise my hand. So there's a lot of visualization. I try and explain to people it's like painting blind,
Oh, yeah.
because you can't see what you've done when you're painting with light. So if I draw the letter H right here, I have to remember that I've put it in this box right here, and then visually think of the next letter here. Because you can't see anything that you've done, because the streak of light is gone. And then at the same time, the light is blinding you in the dark. Because your eyes are trying to adjust to the darkness, and then you have a light right in your face. So I try to tell people it's like painting blind.
Yeah.
So when I do some of my wings, which I've sent you pictures of, that's where I use this. So it's a plexiglass feather attachment, and I have a connector here, and then I put a flashlight in the bottom, and I turn my flashlight on and off hundreds, if not thousands of times to visually paint the wing. So I'm painting the wing one feather at a time, and I have to remember, let's say I started at the model's top of her shoulder. I have to remember the formation that I did, and then my next one has to be a little bit lower and a little bit lower and a little bit lower. And then you're trying to remember where you've painted. So it's incredibly technical, and that's where I've gotten good at it, is just repetition. Like people say, oh, how'd you get so good at spinning orbs? Well, I've spun thousands of them.
Yeah.
Like I can do it. No, I don't even think about it now. Like
Right.
It's not challenging for me anymore because of the amount of times I've done it. But for the average person, when they first try and spin one, it doesn't look like an orb, right? Because it's all wonky,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you'll hit yourself with it, right? Because you're in the dark. Like you have to be like you're almost spinning a lasso, because you're creating that ring and then you're walking the ring too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of visualization.
One thing we should talk about that's really important, when you are painting with light, because you're taking such a long exposure, you're in the shot the whole time as well.
Yes.
But you don't appear in the shot, right? So you're walking around the model, you're walking through the shot for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it takes to paint, right?
Yeah.
But you don't appear in the shot, right? Because of that long exposure and I guess motion blur, is that what we would say? Like,
I wear a lot of black clothing. So sometimes when I had a large beard, I would have to wear like a black mask because I kept lighting my beard up. I wear dark shoes, dark pants, dark jacket. I'll wear a black hat so that my head doesn't shine like a mirror. Right? But it's a lot of movement and it's silhouetting. So if I stood with my back to the camera and I spun a light, it would show my whole shadow.
right.
But because I keep the light in front of me, I'm behind the light. So there are times where when I'm fire painting, you might see a glimpse of my face here and there. It's kind of hard to get around it because the fire's so bright. There are times when I do my orb, you might see like the shadow of my shoe, but I'll just redo it.
If you kind of just spend a little bit too much time in the same spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Some of the photos you sent me, I was looking for that. I'm like, he's got to be, like, he had to have made a mistake in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was zooming in and I was looking and I'm like, man, I can't see him anywhere. And like the background, like there was a shot when you were on the bridge in Cottonwood Island Park.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can see the bridge like clear as day with the person on it and all the light. And I'm like, where the heck is he? Because he's in every one of these shots.
I'm in all of them, yeah. That's the thing is, I have a remote trigger in my one hand and then my light painting tool in my other hand. So I'm controlling my camera and I'm controlling the light at the exact same time.
Oh, it's not just continuously shooting in your...
No.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So when I paint my shapes, I have the trigger, I have it like a lanyard to my wrist, and I will control it. So if I'm going to do a circle, I will start it as I'm starting my circle and then end it the second I'm finished.
Oh, okay.
So different shapes take different time. Yeah. So when I work with models or friends, they have to stand completely still. It's paramount that they're like a statue. Because if they move ever so slightly, it blurs their face.
Yeah.
So the longer the shape, the harder it is for the person modeling. So if I just do a quick circle, it's like a second or two.
Yeah.
If I'm doing all these big shapes or if I'm doing my feathers where it takes 5 minutes, you're standing still for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's quite challenging.
Oh, yeah.
So I've worked with the same model a lot, and over time, she just got better and better and better at holding these positions for long periods of time. And we do poses that make sense. So you're not gonna do a pose with your arms out, because to hold your arms out for 5 minutes is very challenging.
Right.
So we do poses that like feel natural, that are like easy to hold, because then it's easier on the model and we come out with the best looking images. So it's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever, when you're kind of finishing up one of those shots, do you ever do any to specifically light the model a certain way?
In certain ones, I do. So I have like a light wand that has black tape on one side to shield it from the camera, and then I will lightly run it vertically across them. When I do a lot of my long exposure wing ones, where I'm painting feathers for 5 or 10 minutes, at the very end of it is when I will light their face, and then that will bring that. But when I'm doing fire, a lot of the times when I'm doing it, sometimes I'll wrap it around them. Like I do a couple, I call it like the figure 8, where I wrap the fire all the way in front of them and then behind them. And that is so much light that I don't need to do that. But there are certain instances where we're in such darkness that I guess it depends on the landscape. If there's trees and water, sometimes the light will refract and will provide light. But I definitely have lit my subjects with another tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about that was because one of the things I learned about photography was like, I think it's called like a trailing curtain type photography with flash photography. And that's where a car might go by and you would get the light trail of the tail light, and then your flash would fire at the end of the exposure and then light the car.
So I have done some photos like that.
Yeah?
I try and stay away from it because I don't like how bright the flash hits the person. But I think it's called rear curtain sync.
Curtain, that's what it is. Yeah.
And I do that sometimes. I have set up flashes in different areas and then do the fire painting, and then at the very end, the flash goes off.
Okay.
But when I compare just the fire to the rear curtain sync, I like the fire more.
Oh, yeah.
So I've just naturally learned how to edit my photos to bring out a little bit of the shadows if I need to. Like if it's a little bit darker, I'll tweak it a little bit. But I have played with that. I just noticed that over time I haven't liked it as much. But if I'm shooting with a brand new model who's never done it before, I will opt for that, because then they don't have to stand still. Because then if they move a little bit, that sync of the flash at the end freezes them.
Yeah.
So then there's no movement.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I'm doing a fire painting and I'm doing 5 seconds long and they sway a little bit, it could blur their face. Whereas if you use the flash, it freezes them and it solves that problem.
Right.
But I've just noticed that it's just a little bit too bright for me. I like a little bit darker in my images just because it is night, and that flash can blow it up like it's almost like the day again. So
Right, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about fire, because you've got a tool here for the light painting, but for painting with fire, like, are we talking real full-on flame and fire?
Yeah, so when I first started, I used to use a piece of doweling, and it was just a thin piece of doweling, and I used to rip up cotton t-shirts, and I would wrap them around and I would staple them to the doweling, and then I would use barbecue fluid, and I would use like a welding glove. Over time, I've started to make more professional gear, and I've burnt myself a couple times. I guess I wouldn't call it burning, it's almost like boiling. So when I had welding gloves, I would push it a little bit too far. I would do what's called like a wall of fire. So I would run my stick this way, and then I would run it vertically after to create a large wall of flame, and I would run around the model in a circular fashion. But when you're doing the down, your hand is in the flame, completely in the flame.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing my art, I get so into it that I don't realize that I'm essentially hurting myself. So I guess boiled my hand in my glove and didn't realize it until later. So that's why I built the guard on here, is for when I do that vertical. And I did a couple photo shoots with the fire department. And when I was standing there, I got to put my gear in their gear room, and they had a whole wall of firefighting gloves. And I looked at the chief and I said, "Is there any way I can get a pair?" And he said yes. So now I have professional firefighting gloves. And then now I've built this. So this I can use over and over again. So I've got Kevlar on here, so I can douse this with flame, and I can use it over and over and over again. So I can use this for years on end. And then I have a big roll of the Kevlar. So
is the Kevlar itself flammable, or?
no, so that's
no.
where you're still dousing it in barbecue fluid. And I have like very strict rules of how I do that. So in the early stages of my career, there was people trying to, I guess, replicate what I was doing, and they lit their model on fire. So I have very strict rules of how I use my fuel, where I use my fuel, how much of it. So I will walk 30, 40 feet away from where we are and douse my whole rod, leave my fuel there, because some is gonna fall on the ground. Then I come back to where I'm shooting, light it on fire, and you gotta pay attention to the wind, right? Because that flame's either blowing at me, blowing at her, blowing anywhere. So unfortunately, a photographer's fire stick was already lit. The model was in front of him, and he thought he needed more fuel. He went to squirt it on the sword, and he squirted it on her, and he lit her on fire.
Oh, man.
So I'm very strict about my safety. I've never hurt anyone. I don't plan to ever hurt anyone. I like to gain that trust with the people that I'm working with. I want it to portray an image that they're confident. I don't want them to feel scared when we're doing this. Yeah. So I've developed a great rapport and trust with the people that I work with. And even when I'm working with new people, I explain to them the safety that I bring, that I do. So I go off, I spray all my fluid there. Because if you were doing it in the ground, if for some reason you touch the ground and then you lit the ground on fire right where you're working.
Right.
So I take my safety very seriously. I try and be as professional as I can be. I don't ever want to have an injury to provide art. So right. I think of art as beauty, and I don't ever want to have a bad story or have a bad name for myself. So I take that very seriously. But yeah, that's the fire sword.
Yeah. What is this other wire that's going around it?
So that's the wire that's holding the Kevlar to it.
Oh, yeah.
So I've wrapped the Kevlar really tightly around it, but it will unwind. So I've just wrapped wire all the way from top to bottom just to kind of hold it in place. And then I've done my own little grip, so I've put rope in here just so it has some texture. And then I put this ball on here just to stop my hand because I am wearing a decent sized glove. And then I also have a shield that I wear, so I cut the hand part off of a welding glove, and then I just wear the arm piece because sometimes I don't have a jacket on.
Yeah.
Like sometimes in the summertime I'm out there in shorts and a muscle shirt just because it's hot out, right?
Right.
So.
How long are we talking about once you light that you've got now to shoot that photo?
Now that I'm using the Kevlar, I have like a good minute or two, I would say, till it burns out. And then I can walk off and put more fuel on and reignite it and keep going and going. Okay. So when I first started using the doweling, I would only get like 20 or 30 seconds. And then I'd have to take all of the burnt t-shirt off, put it into a bag, rewrap another t-shirt, staple it, and the whole time the model's standing there freezing.
Yeah.
So this is a lot easier. It gives me more time where I can do multiple poses. So with fire, it's very quick. We both need to be on our game. Yeah. So I've already thought of the shapes that I want to create, and then I always ask the people that I'm working with to have a couple poses in mind. So we both have homework. And that's what I always joke around with my models is, I'm going to do my homework, but I need you to do your homework. And that's planning these poses out. So it might be one arm up, one arm down. Then we might do both arms out. Lots of different. So I'll do wings, I'll do the figure eight, I'll do the wall, I'll do a rainbow. So I'm quickly doing it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. And it's like quick.
Yeah,
because like everything costs money, yeah. Right?
And it's a significant amount of light then compared to a little orb. Yeah.
The thing is when I first light my fire stick, it's very bright, and then as the exposure continues and it dies down, it's not as bright. So if I had the most professional way, I would have someone else on the other side of my camera playing with the ISO or the exposure to brighten and stuff like that. For me, I've found like a happy medium where I know, and it's like the first time I light my stick, it burns differently than the fourth time that I light my stick. So when I first light it, I'll light it at the bottom and it like takes a few seconds to like work its way up. On the fourth time when I light it, it's the whole thing is going and it's big.
Oh yeah.
So I have to be aware of all these things. I have to know, like I said about the wind. It's very important. If it's blowing and super windy, I need to position us that the fire's either blowing away from both of us or it's blowing at me.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like I can control the fire with where I'm holding it. They can't control anything. So it's like the safety is all in my hands. So I need to be ultra aware of all of the surroundings that were around. And I mean, I've done it in smaller areas, you know what I mean? Like I always joke around about like doing it indoors, but it's kind of touchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about some of your favorite photos with fire, because like I can picture this, you creating the wings with the light.
Yeah.
Tell me about doing it with fire, like as far as like your favorite photos go, because I've seen some where there's like waterfalls in the shot and stuff like that.
I love waterfalls. Yeah,
and
some of my favorites. But I would say my all-time favorite fire photo is I did it at Halloween with the clown off of It. I think it's Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah, I know.
The reason why I love that is because the real makeup artist from the movie has liked my photos. And that in itself is such an honor to be recognized by the top of the top.
Wow.
So I can't remember what award they've won, or it was like an Emmy or a Nobel Prize or something to do with movies. And they've won multiple for the makeup. So it's the makeup artist. And they've liked quite a few of my photos now. Wow. And that's just over the top.
Yeah.
Because I think to myself, like, if I could eventually work with movies or people in music or people in entertainment. Like I always joke around with that if I could get in the room with Conor McGregor or The Rock, that I could convince them that I could take the most powerful image they've ever seen of themselves.
Wow.
Just give me 10 minutes and I will give you the best photo you've ever seen of yourself. And I am confident in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I used to go to car shows and I'd just go up to random people and say, give me an hour with your car and I will give you the best image you've ever seen of your vehicle.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. You know what I mean? Because I'm not necessarily in it for the money. I'm in it for the art. So they'll ask me, like, oh, well, how much? And I said, nothing.
Yeah.
If I'm asking you, it's free. Let's just make art. So I've done beautiful cars and trucks with fire paintings. And then I don't have to worry about them sitting still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're still, yeah.
So the car's just sitting there. I've done some crazy light paintings and fire paintings with a old muscle car with star trails and the cut banks in the back and a big puddle. I think I sent you one of them. I would say for fire photography, that one with Pennywise the Clown is one of my all-time. Another one I did was a levitation photo. So it's the only exception that I'll have for Photoshop is a levitation photo. So I had a model, I put a stool in the water, and then I had her lay on the stool with her back, which is extremely uncomfortable. And she's like laying back looking at the sky. And it's in front of the train bridge. And then I did a fire painting behind her. And then after I photoshopped the stool out. So I'm very transparent in my work that if I am going to do something a certain way, I write it in the description. So I'm not trying to like trick or anything with people. I'd like people to know how I made my work. I'm not trying to be magical here. I know that sometimes I am going to use Photoshop for those certain things. I've done some light paintings where I had a woman sitting cross-legged in the forest with her hands up, and we had her sit on a stool, and then I photoshopped the stool out so she looks like she's floating.
Yeah.
So I like to do creative, fun stuff like that. But anytime during Halloween, that's where I become the most creative. You know what I mean?
You sent me a few Halloween pictures, and those were all crazy.
Yeah.
But before we talk about those, I've got a serious question about what you just said about Photoshop, because I Photoshop everything. I don't put anything out without it being like quite heavily Photoshopped. This video is going to be like Photoshop, but for video.
Yeah.
To look good. You don't spend a lot of time in Photoshop with these photos?
I don't touch Photoshop.
So like when you do this exposure and you're like, hey, here's this picture painted with fire, posted on Instagram, no Photoshop?
None.
Really?
None.
Like purely just raw photo.
No, so when I edit my photos, I do them in Lightroom. So I will sometimes increase like the shadows a little bit, or I will little tweaks like that. When I think of Photoshop, I think of taking something out or adding something in that wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's how I look at Photoshop.
Or even like fixing like those wobbles that you might get with the orb and stuff. You don't
No,
do any, really?
No, I reshoot it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's even more impressive then.
Yeah, so that's where I've always wanted to get to the point of perfection. And if I mess up, I'm going to reshoot it 10 times, 100 times until I get it.
Holy.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I will dabble with Photoshop in my levitation. There, in the beginning stages of my career, if I had, if my foot showed up in a photo, I used to take it out with Photoshop. Now I leave it.
Really?
Now I'm okay with it. I'm at the point now where it's like, here's 10 images, my shoe's in one of them, that's okay. You know what I mean? If I were gonna submit it to a magazine or to a competition, I would probably keep shooting it until it was perfect. But now I'm okay with it a little bit. I don't strive for like absolute perfection. I like to show people that like I make mistakes too.
Yeah.
It's okay. And sometimes you have happy mistakes. I know I shot a couple at a waterfall where he was holding his girlfriend in his arms. And when I fire painted a big rainbow, the light hit my head and it created like a streak across the whole image. And then when I looked at it, I was like, I like this. This is cool. This is okay. This is a happy mistake. So I have always stayed away from Photoshop. I've always prided myself off that single exposure aspect of things, because a lot of light painters, they will take a bunch of small exposures and then stack them together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's still real, but to me, I like to do a light painting and show you the back of my camera.
Yeah.
And say,
yeah.
there's the image, it's done.
Wow.
And I feel like that takes the most precision, the most skill. So that's what I've always strived for.
Yeah. I didn't realize you didn't edit like that. Like,
Yeah.
I knew you had told me that you didn't edit certain photos because you have a difficulty with color.
I am severely colorblind, so yeah, I don't touch.
And
I
that
don't touch
blows my mind
stuff.
too, that you're putting out these colorful rainbow photos, northern lights that just look remarkable.
Yeah.
And you're seeing them different than I would see them, and that everyone else would see them.
So a lot of people have commented about that, where they say that some of my photos carry like a certain like vibrance or contrast, or like almost like a pop or a punch to them, but I don't touch the color, and I never have, because in the very beginning stages of my career, I shot a wedding and I edited them to where I thought they looked super beautiful, and I sent the portfolio to my mother. And my mom says, Kris, your greens are a little too green, and something's not right here. Did you touch this? And I was like, well, yeah, like I thought that's what I was supposed to do. So ever since then, I don't touch the color, just because I know that I'll mess it up, because I'm severely colorblind. The thing with light painting is I get to control the color. I get to decide if the scene is yellow or blue or red or pink.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the times I will collaborate with my model, and I'll say, what color dress are you wearing? What color do you think will look the best with this? So I have shot with one of the same models a lot, and over time our collaboration has just flowed perfectly. Where she'll message me, I'm wearing a blue dress, I think you should bring this tube, this tube, this tube, and then that's the colors that we go, because if I had full control of it, unfortunately, it wouldn't be the best. I might bring a yellow tube, or I might bring a pink tube, and it might not look the best. So now I ask the model, or my friend or the guy that I'm working with, hey, what color do you think would look best with the outfit that you're wearing, with the scene that we're trying to portray, if we're doing dark or elegant or beautiful, whether a waterfall or under the bridge. So everything I feel has a story, and I feel like the colors can help tell that story. So now I've kind of used a little bit of a collaboration effort with it, but with light painting, I get to control the scene.
Yeah.
Right? I get to decide how dark it is, how light it is, what colors are in it. And that's where I've really gravitated towards that, is you can't control a sunset,
Right.
right? Whether it's pink or orange or yellow. Whereas like with light painting, I control everything. The shapes, the colors. So I've loved that sort of control over things, and then being able to tell a story exactly how I want it to look.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know those little party favors that you get, and you throw this little packet in a campfire and it makes the campfire burn green?
Yeah.
You ever use anything like that with your fire?
No, I haven't. So I do steel wool photography. So I have an egg whisk, and then you jam steel wool inside of it, and then you have it on a rope, and you light it on fire, and then you spin it, and then it throws sparks everywhere. So I have put different things in there.
Okay.
So I bought like magnesium ribbon, which burns really hot and white. So in my images, you'll see a bunch of yellow sparks, and then you'll see some really big white sparks, and that's the magnesium ribbon.
Wow.
I've also used aluminum shavings, which will create like a bluish green. It's funny that you say that. My grandfather, he used to do a trick when we were kids, and he would get a piece of copper pipe, and he would drill a bunch of holes in it, and he would put a piece of garden hose in it, and he would hide it under a piece of firewood, and he would start to tell a scary story, and then he would put it into the fire, and none of us kids would see it. Right? And then all of a sudden the fire's blue and green, and he's telling a story, and we're like, oh my God, right? Eventually, as you grow older, we learn the trick, but as a kid, super cool.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so different than your other passion, which is like landscape and wildlife photography. For me, I can't even imagine wanting to go out and take a picture of a mountain after painting with fire.
Yeah. I think that's why I gravitate to night photography also, is because of the Milky Way, the star trails, the full moon, the northern lights, is like the night sky is so spectacular.
Yeah.
Like I love a good sunset, but there's so many like different things that come to play. When I used to chase sunsets, I used to drive hundreds of kilometers to a location and get skunked.
Oh man.
It's like a gray sky, and you're sitting there like, oh my goodness, I just wasted all this time and money, and you're driving home like upset.
Yeah.
Whereas like the night sky, something's always happening. Unless it's completely clouded over, then you can get skunked again. But with star trails, shooting stars, Milky Way, the full moon, northern lights, that's how I can bring that mountain alive.
Oh, yeah.
And then if I have the foreground for it, I can put a light painting into it. So I can kind of mix my landscape with my night photography, with my light painting, if the scene allows it.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely have gravitated more towards the artistic side of things, with the light painting, with the fire painting, because of how fun it is, how spectacular it is to create a story, to create an outfit. I had a friend of mine who's actually unfortunately passed away, but we used to make our own costumes. So we put together like a creepy like priest outfit where we had a black cape, and we made the collar, and we made our own necklace, and we had a crazy mask on, and we went out to an abandoned church, and we were doing all these crazy light paintings, and the owner actually came and knocked on the door and came in, and seen him standing down the aisle at the church, you know, all weird with this mask that had no mouth, and he screamed, and I was like, no, it's okay, like, we're just doing art, I'm just painting with light. And he's like, you're painting? And I'm like, no, like, I'm not doing graffiti, I'm not ruining nothing. So I end up going outside and showing him my camera, and he was like, oh, that's really cool. And he ended up giving me his phone number, and so now I'm able to like go back whenever I'd like. But
Oh wow.
so lots of crazy stories. I've been in like scary situations where weird things happen out in the dark, like, so.
Like Blair Witch style.
Yeah, like,
Yeah?
we used to have the BC Hydro power station across from the CN Bridge.
Okay.
So across the CN Bridge, there's like a big abandoned building, and I used to go in there and light paint, and I took a friend of mine for the first time, which was just terrible, and we get through the building and we go upstairs and we're light painting in this like electrical terminal room, and they have all these like panels, so I was like making the light look like the electricity was coming out of the panel and then like going all over the floor and then into my light orb, so it looked like the electricity was traveling out and then creating that.
Yeah.
And then we like heard some glass break, and I was like, what was that? And then it was around the time, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, where the clown thing was happening. So they started screaming like clowns. So I turned all the lights off because I didn't want the interaction.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to know we were there, but they obviously like seen the vehicle, our footprints going in, and they ran around the basement breaking glass, screaming like clowns that they were like coming to get us. And she's having a panic attack, and I'm telling her like, no matter what happens, I will protect you, no matter what. And it was like right out of a horror story where they started coming up the stairs, and each boot on the glass. And they got closer and closer, and she's like tugging at my sweater, and I'm like, it's okay, like I'll figure this out. And then they come in the door, and it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, it's got all the sound effects from a horror movie.
Yeah. And of course your adrenaline's
Oh
amped
my
up and-
goodness. So I'm ultra defensive. Like, I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
protect this person. I need to protect myself, my gear. And these guys come in and they all got flashlights and they're just having fun thinking that they're scaring someone. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, don't come over here. So we ended up leaving, and I don't think I ever light painted with her again.
Oh no.
So that kind of ruined that experience. But
Yeah.
I've had interactions with wildlife. I've had like a cougar stalk me on a ridge line. I've had a black bear sit in the bushes and watch. So I did light paintings with this girl
At night.
at night,
Wow.
down by the river. You can't hear a lot because of the water. And like I said before, with the light, it's blinding me, right? Because I'm waving this light like 6 inches or a foot from my face. So every time I do that, it's killing my night vision.
Yeah.
The model's on the other side of the light, so their night vision adapts. So I keep doing this, and I could sense something was up. And I said, are you okay? She said, Kris, I think there's eyes in the bush.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what? So I pop my flashlight out and I shine it at the bush, and like 40 feet away, there's a black bear just sitting on its butt, like literally watching us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, like,
Holy cow.
and I guess every time I did my shape, it lit its eyes up.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like darkness, and then the eyes would light up, and then darkness, and the eyes would light up. So I can understand why she was scared. So I scared the bear off. We continued the shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Man, that's one of my like biggest fears, I think, is like wildlife when you're out on a hike or a walk or just out in the bush somewhere. Yeah.
I think one of the scariest locations we ever did was the ancient forest. And
Don't say that. I've been there so many times, and I've told people, you never see wildlife out there.
I've never seen wildlife out there either, but something about there gave me an uneasy feeling. So the model that I was with brought a drum, because we like to be loud. Because when we're out there, we're talking, we're laughing, we're singing. So when we walked out there, she banged on the drum the whole way out. Okay. And when you're in the pathways that have the railings, it felt very safe. But we traveled past that. So we were out into the woods, and we did the waterfall, and we did a couple of big trees and stuff. And when we were leaving, something didn't feel right. Like I felt, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, this feels gross. Let's go. So we banged on the drum and we walked a little quicker and we got out of there. But it is definitely an element in northern BC that wildlife is out there.
Yeah. What was she getting the same feeling as you?
Yes, yeah. It felt like something was watching us or close by. So I don't know if it was a big cat or a bear or something, but I've never had any like real imminent danger where like I guess the bear's sitting there, but it was quite docile. It was just like watching us. So, and then the time that I got stalked by a cougar, it was at the top of the cut banks at North Nechako, and I was light painting at the bottom, and I heard some rocks fall. And I shined my light up, and there was the cat sitting right on the edge.
Really?
And I like grabbed my camera and turned it up and took a picture. So I wanted proof.
Yeah.
So that if I tell someone this story, they're like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh, no, here's the picture.
Yeah.
Here's the picture of this animal sitting at the top of the ridgeline. And my vehicle was a little bit away, and I packed up my gear, and the cat followed me along the ridgeline until I got to my car. And that was a little uneasy. For sure, but I would say waterfalls feel like the most dangerous to me because you can't hear anything. So if I'm just out in the woods, you can hear everything. If you hear a branch break or something, I'm like ultra aware. But when you're by a waterfall, you actually can't hear anything. So it's like, it's scary, but I'm usually so hyper focused on doing my art that I don't think about it. But I've now got my PAL, and I have bought a firearm, and I've equipped it with 1,000 lumen flashlight in the handle of it. I still haven't brought it out, but if I ever feel like I'm going into like grizzly territory or something like that, I would bring it as a defense mechanism, just because I started out with a bear banger, and I talked to a hunting guide, and he said that there's a bear banger that you can get that's in the shape of a handgun that has a 10-shot clip. So I used to carry that on my waistband. And I'd always have to like let the model know, like, look, it's not a real gun. It's just for protection. I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's not a toy. I don't ever bring it out. But you definitely have to think about these things.
Yeah.
Bear spray, bear bangers, being loud. Because like, how many people do you know have been to every waterfall near Prince George in the middle of the night?
None.
None. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I can say one, and he's sitting in front of me right now.
Yeah, so it's not something that you're typically doing, right?
Well, I've gone up to the university to take photos at night, and even I didn't feel totally comfortable there. And they've got security walking around. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary for sure. And I really try and emphasize that to the people that I work with, that if I bring you out somewhere, you will come home. Whether I don't come home or not is besides the point, but I've told like the models that I work with, if something were to ever happen, I will die to make sure that you go home. Because like I feel a certain responsibility that if you're never going to go into the middle of the woods at night by yourself.
Yeah.
But if I take you out there to do art, I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that you come home at night.
Yeah.
So I take that very seriously with the people that I work with. I ultimately want them to feel safe, because that's how we're going to create beautiful art. You don't want someone who's nervous and scared and looking around, right? You want them to feel safe. So I've always emphasized that with everyone that I've worked with, that I will protect you no matter what it takes.
Nice.
And I take that very seriously, so. But it is scary being out there, for sure, especially when your mind starts playing tricks on you and you're alone, right? Because a lot of the times I don't have anyone with me. It's great when I have a model or a friend to come with me and we create art together, but 8 times out of 10, the answer is no, and I go anyways. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that was one of the things Scott told me was, hey, you should get Kris to take you out and do some Northern Lights photography.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a stay up late type of guy. I'm like, 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm ready for bed. And,
Yeah.
I like sleeping in and stuff like that. But yeah, he was like, you should go out and do some Northern Lights photography with Kris.
We'd have a great time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, if somebody did want to get in touch with you and they did want to do some photography or something, are you open to taking people out?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to collaborate with people, whether that's making art or I've taught so many people. So I've taught camera clubs, I've taught private lessons, everything and anything. So I've taught light painting, I've taught landscape, I've taught wildlife, I've taught Northern Lights. So I love to share my knowledge. So if someone was open and wanted to learn, 100% we could go out and create some magic or find some magic in the skies.
And if your name's Conor McGregor or The Rock,
Call me.
how can someone get in touch with you? And even if they just want to see your photography or
So
look at some prints.
I have Facebook pages for both my wildlife and nature and landscape is all under K Foot Photography, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. And then my art is Halogi, Halogi, and that's on Instagram and Facebook. And then I also have a website, kfootphotography.com. I think all of them have my email, my phone number, so
Okay.
I'm available for sure.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, what's behind that name, Halogi?
So Halogi, when I first started photography, I was just K Foot Photography. And then when I won the world award, I started to think like, I need an artist name. I need something like cool. After I won the award, the World Light Painting Alliance, which is an alliance of light painters across the whole world, decided that they were going to do the next global meet somewhere close to me, and that it was going to be kind of encompassing around me, and that I would be like the highlight of the group.
Wow.
So they let me pick, and I picked the Othello Tunnels and the Alexandria Bridge in BC, just because it was close. Yeah. I mean, I could have chose somewhere in Europe, but like I was trying to keep my travel costs down a little bit. So we had light painters from all over the world come, from Germany, all over Europe, Australia, United States. They all flew up, all to BC.
What?
Yeah, so we had like 35 light painters, and we had to collaborate a light painting image as a team. So we decided that we would do a big image on the Alexandria Bridge. And at the time, the guy organizing it didn't really like take the lead. So I kind of bulldozed that a little bit and said, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. So I spun fire across the entire Alexandria Bridge. Okay, so I did this spin, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 times. And by the end of the night, everyone was calling me the God of Fire or the Fire God. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, I like this nickname, because you always get a nickname from like your peers, right?
Yeah.
And then the next night we did a train shot where someone built an apparatus that was like the size of a train, and they were wheeling it on like a wagon, but it was like bouncing on the rocks. So I ended up picking it up and carrying it myself. And just, I have this like walk where I can keep my shoulders really stable. So I walked this train from one tunnel to the other tunnel, and we simulated a light painting of a train passing through the tunnels. And then when I left there, I started thinking about like this fire god thing and this god of fire. So I started looking up names, and a friend of mine was helping me. And I used to have a really big, gigantic beard, and people would call me like the Viking. So Halogi means the god of fire or the fire giant in Norse mythology.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So it kind of encompassed everything of like my big Viking and then the fire god or the fire giant. So that's what Halogi means, is the god of fire in Norse mythology.
Right on. That's awesome. Great way to wrap this up.
Awesome.
Halogi.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for coming on, Kris.
Thank you.